Well, it's the holidays. It's Christmas period. Um, let's talk about something else because, hey, let's even crack open a bit of rum. So, what I want to talk about today. Oh, hang on. There we go. Bit of ASMR for you as well. What I want to talk about to you today is quite simply this: a topic you may never have heard of, a subject you may never even know about. There we go. But this topic is indeed something I love. And that is, of course, history. Now you're thinking, oh, history. Everyone knows, what loves about history. However, we're talking about something that within that history community. Because there is plenty of people out there who do love history, myself included. I absolutely love learning about, watching history documentaries. I read a ton of history books. And yes, I will admit, a lot of history books out there are very bland and boring. And that is because most of them are written by academics in that academic style, and it's not overly appealing to a general mass public audience. In fact, I would often argue some of the best written history books out there talking about history, wanting to people learn about history, are actually written by non-academics. In fact, I often recommend to people Terry Jones's Medieval Lives. Very, very, very good if you want to learn a bit about medieval history. But also, if you like, a bit of a murder mystery, I do also recommend the other book that he wrote, along with a couple of other history academics as well. Who Murdered Chaucer? Was he murdered with a knife? Who knows? Again, that's a history joke. That's a history pun right there. So cheers to anyone who got that out there. If you didn't, well, look up some old English. Maybe you'll get it afterwards. But in that section, I think most people agree within any hobby or genre or anything like that, there tends to be often the group that gets separated off to the side and, ignored. However, these people over the past couple of years, mainly because of the internet and because of YouTube, you've seen their theories explode. Oh, it's fun, it's this, but these tiny communities suddenly become a lot bigger because of the internet. They're scattered around the globe, but all can suddenly come together because of the internet. We've seen this through flat Earth. You know, you know, as bizarre as believe, there are people who believe that the Earth is flat. And their movement gained a lot of pace because of the internet and people being able to connect because of that. But what we're talking about here is something referred to the Arkology Wars. And what happened here, and this skirmish that has been going on for the past couple of years, is because there are a certain number of pseudo-archaeologists, let's call them that, because, hey, there's a guy called who, again, I wouldn't really recommend his videos, but if you know anything about this subject or you go looking into this, you will find him. He's called Debunking. And this is a guy who is a pseudo-archaeologist, has a massive fan following, but isn't even an archaeologist, but talks about this type of stuff with a very authoritative voice. And, says this is truth, this is fact. And by the way, archaeologists, like as we'll get into a moment, Flint Dibble, who is an archaeologist, who has done digs, has led digs, teaches it, does all kinds of stuff with archaeology in labs as well. He's lying to you. We'll get onto that in a moment as well, but it's worth bringing up. So why on earth do these people get the credibility? Well, mostly because if you don't know anything about my history of my channel, I used to go after debunking, the quacks, pseudoscience doctors who used to say, we can cure your cancer if you eat, fresh vegetables. That's all you need. You need this just like fresh, raw vegetable diet, all blended into this massive, juicer, which we also incidentally just happen to sell for you. That's, happen to worth quite a bit of money. Um, you know, and then you come to our quote clinic that just happens to be across the border in Mexico, or one used to be in Hungary before they changed their laws, where we can change the name of the clinic every so often. Has a very, very bad sort of reputation with the locals, known as the Carrot Clinic, I believe. But don't worry, come to our clinic and we'll cure you of cancer. And of course, what happens? Sometimes people get lucky. They do the actual radiotherapy and chemotherapy, so they do survive. However, some put it off because they want to sort of pursue this, or they don't even pursue the actual medical science at all, and instead trust these absolute wackos. Now, of course, that in itself is an extreme, I think, public health danger that should be addressed through government stuff and politics as well. Something actually came about that very recently. Maybe I should do a video about that, but that's the video for another time. But however, when it comes to this issue of this archaeology, and most of these people pushing this idea that hundreds of thousands of years ago, sort of pre-Ice Age, there was this global spanning civilization that existed, that had a very advanced technological level that allowed them to pretty much circumnavigate the globe, produce, accurate maps, and supposedly have all this amazing, fantastical technology. However, they didn't use metal because reasons. I don't know. That they were also, again, totally peaceful civilization, never got into any wars, never got into civil wars or anything like that. So there's no evidence at all that they would ever fight with each other. Again, weird point about that as well. But they say all kinds of things and make all kinds of claims about this. Again, civilization that was meant to have existed pre-Ice Age. And then, of course, the Ice Age happens and this ends it. Like, that was the end of the civilization. Like, the Ice Age just completely ended their civilization. However, as people like Flint Dibble accurately show, there is no evidence at all for any of this, hidden civilization that ever happened. And I would encourage you to go, subscribe to Flint Dibble's YouTube channel. He's a very good archaeologist, speaks about it very, very good. He's very, very entertaining as well when he does it. But I would also go and watch the Joe Rogan Experience he was on with a guy called Graham Hancock. And Graham Hancock, for the past number of years, has been the leading guy when it comes to this. Like, he has made, he's written huge numbers of books. He's even had his own, specials on like the History Channel and even Netflix as well because of this. And he has obviously made the claim, well, no archaeologist would even dare debate me. Joe Rogan has offered this platform, but no archaeologist dare take it up. And he made this claim back in 2022. And of course, finally, it happened. So Flint Dibble obviously works, I believe, at Cardiff University. I believe at the moment he works at where he's sort of a professor at. Absolutely destroyed him. Like, it wasn't even, a close contest. He says all these slides. He's going, well, there's this, and he's addressing, I think, a lot of the stuff Graham Hancock brings up very, very well, and he even says it in a number of videos that he's done since then. People have come to him and said, well, actually, no, you're right. I actually prefer you more explaining the real history, the real processes of what's going on here, than Graham Hancock even actually admitting in that debate that, yeah, there is no evidence for a lost civilization. But gee, makes a lot of money out of it. made a lot of money out of it, I'll tell you that. So these sort of archaeology wars have been going on, and most of it, unfortunately, has been in the form of harassment. These guys have gone after actual archaeologists like Flint Dibble and many others who have basically, been doing their jobs, publishing papers, talking about their findings and what they've stuff. And because, again, it doesn't mix with this idea that there is a lost ancient civilization, well, clearly there must be some great conspiracy. There must be some great cover up. But of course, this all comes back to the question that we used to take to 9/11, truthers back in the day. Well, if there is what all this was, this great conspiracy that 9/11 was an inside job, there must have been a huge number of people involved. And you think they're all going to remain silent? That none of them are going to sort of speak out? Again, same with this. If there is this supposed theory, and that archaeologists are either ignoring the evidence or covering it up themselves, that would be a huge, monumental conspiracy to be able to keep covered up. And you really think no archaeologist is going to sort of say, well, actually, with all this evidence for this lost civilization, I'm going to publish a paper on it, show the evidence, and become absolutely world famous and go down in history as like the guy who discovered this? you know, I'm sorry, breaks apart a bit when you sort of really start to consider the scale of this conspiracy that must be somehow involved to keep all this covered up. Like I say, what's the reason behind it all? But no, I do encourage you, go watch that Joe Rogan episode. Flint Dibble does a very, very good job at demolishing Graham Hancock. Graham Hancock in that. I think he does a very good job. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel as well. He's very, very good. Talking about archaeology as well. And like I say, let me know what you think as well. And of course, still is the Festivus period. So I hope you had all a Merry, Merry Christmas. And yes, Happy New Year as well when it comes around. So until then, we'll see you all very soon.